Kevin Hart finally goes on the Breakfast Club and he decides he's going to respond. Very shortly after the situation, him and Tiffany Haddish go on the Breakfast Club together to address the statements that Katt Williams made. So Kevin Hart makes a bunch of claims and he really goes on to basically say that
I have time to not be humble today. I have time to fact check everything he said because the world of Katt Williams is a fictional world.
He mentions that, you know, like when they kind of talk about like the difference in pay between comedians.
Look, I know what the conversations are. You know, look, I'm all about the female growth, you know, especially in entertainment. You know, I think that women and the voices that are coming from these women should be heard and the opportunities should be given.
Envy takes a little bit of a joke and says,
Tiff is the biggest star in the movie, so she should be.
Kevin Hart responds like, nah, if you're going to go with that. Like,
within box office draw, what people ignore is that within a talent, there's box office draw and there's box office success.
And I think that's a valid point because if you look at what Tiffany Haddish did in Girls Trip, that was an amazing performance by her. I actually found that to be quite funny. The fact of the matter is, one, she didn't write those parts. Two, that movie had some of the 4 biggest black female celebrities in it. And so it's hard to give that credit to Tiffany Haddish, and people didn't see that movie because Tiffany Haddish was in it, despite the fact that we would all probably say she had the most memorable role within that movie. But that's not why people went to see it. She was not a box office draw. She was part of what became a humongous box office success, though, without a doubt. But those are two different things. People will go see a movie specifically because Kevin Hart is in it or because Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is in it. People will see a movie because Will Smith, his name is attached to it. We're going to go see that movie, right? That's box office draw. Now, sometimes those movies will be particularly successful because the draw coupled with picking a good movie is going to make it successful. This was a direct response to Katt Williams basically talking about how Tiffany Haddish didn't write that part. Because when Wanda Smith was trying to give Tiffany Haddish credit for saying she was really funny in this movie, he was like, yeah, but...
Did you think she wrote Girls Trip Goofball?
Right.
Or do you think that was already a script and they handed it to her? Ma'am, you could have had that role and everything that happened would have happened unless you thought you were necessary to write the Saturday Night Live monologue.
I disagree. I think Tiffany Haddish has a specific kind of flair about her, and I think that a lot of that was baked into that. I can imagine that maybe that character might have been written for her, or maybe that character was already kind of there and she fit the character. Maybe it did morph a little bit. You can't deny that a person's personality is going to play into that character, and it does seem to be the role that the character that she was already playing, but she didn't write that. And so when Kevin Hart was like talking about it, he was like,
don't shit on my sister Light because you're not happy with your shit. This shit is earned. It's not given. I don't give a fuck if you're a Tiffany Haddish fan or not. It's earned. Tiffany Haddish got years in the game. It's not an accident that Tiffany Haddish got an opportunity to star in a movie. It's not an accident that that character popped in the movie. Written or not written, a character has to pop it.
He mentions a thing about like the broader narrative. You guys remember back in 2009, people were boycotting the Oscars and they said, hey, and he said, hey, look.
What do we want? We complain that people of color weren't getting opportunities in Hollywood. We were getting ignored for the Oscars, for the Emmy. When the people of color get these opportunities,
At all.
why are the people of color the ones that are tearing the people that are getting the opportunities down? You don't realize when I preach about the crabs in the barrel mentality that eventually we have to take responsibility for our actions.
He decides to address the very people.
Because they're going to let you do your special, Gerard Carmichael, but nobody's going to watch it. They're going to let you be a star, Lil Rel, but you ugly. And white people don't believe in ugly stars. They think you have to be somebody that women want to sleep with and men want to be. But because we black, they say, oh, you don't even deserve that. So you get Kevin Hart, Lil Rel, Gerard Carmichael, all in a row, Hannibal Buress, just dudes that no woman would talk to in Lenox Mall.
Kevin Hart addresses all of those statements, and he mentions,
I'm going to bring up the people that Katt Williams named. Lil Rel, Gerard Carmichael, Hannibal Buress, myself, Tiffany Haddish.
Correct.
Lil Rel is seeing so much success after doing his special Relevant. He went on to do Get Out. He now has a show that he's producing and starring in on Fox. Gerard Carmichael had his own show that he starred, wrote, produced. Gerard Carmichael was on to his second special. Hannibal Buress saw success within comedy specials and is now doing various movies where he's getting the opportunity to have features and to have a presence. Me, Kevin Hart, the guy that sits on top right now, have taken advantage of all the money that I have. I've shot over 56 specials for the up-and-coming generation of comedy. Why? Because I'm trying to create opportunities for others. So rather than complaining about it, I'm fixing it. I'm putting my money where my mouth is.
Then he takes his first shots at Katt Hart's, and this is where it gets particularly relevant. I'm sorry, all of this build-up in context is necessary because when we go into the Club Shay Shay interview, you have to fully understand where all this is coming from, and then everything starts making sense, and all the pieces start falling in a row. At this point, originally he'd been talking just about success and so on and so forth, and now he says, now towards Katt, when do you take
responsibility for your actions? You had the shot.
Katt was in that position at one point.
You were the guy.
Yeah.
You were set up to be the star. You didn't show up to work. You fucked off promo shoots. You fucked off your promo fucking trips that they had set up for you. You became a risk to the studios, which is why the studios stopped fucking with you.
Charlamagne says, why did he do that? And he says,
he chose drugs.
Oh, okay.
Take responsibility for what you chose and say, you know what? I got to fix me, and I'm going to come back and I'm going to stand up for comedy.
So this is not the very first time that Katt Williams has been accused of being on drugs. When he was doing his conspiracy tour and talking about the Illuminati and stuff, people were saying, oh, these are signs of drugs. And it could have been marijuana-induced psychosis, but that's a really important claim because that comes up in Club Shay Shay about his drug usage several times. And so that detail was really important. He spent a lot of time talking about, Katt, when do you take responsibility for your actions? So then at this point, he kind of gives credit to some of the people who are under Katt Williams' umbrella.
Shouts out to Melanie Camacho. Shouts out to Lunel. Shouts out to Leslie Jones, who are all underneath the umbrella of Katt Williams. Katt Williams, have you ever used your platform to fucking bring the people that were under you up?
Mentions that Tiffany earned her platform and the opportunity that she's getting. She said that she got years in the game, which Katt Williams had acknowledged. He'd been doing comedy since 16, but he acknowledged it disparagingly. He said,
You only got Tiffany Haddish. She been doing comedy since she was 16. You can't tell me your favorite Tiffany Haddish joke. Why? Because she ain't done a tour yet. She ain't done a special. She has not proven the ability to tell jokes.
Tiffany Haddish is just like, she kind of there. It's mentioned that she forgives him, and she does what I thought was a pretty funny joke.
I was like, dang, what'd I do to him? Did I fuck his man?
I thought that was a pretty funny line. But then that's when she said, he got his facts wrong, and she clears it up.
I've been proposed to by a white man before, and then found out he was really black when we did that DNA test. But it is what it is.
So you weren't married to a white man?
No, never.
I know
been.
that, but whatever.
But here's where it's really interesting. She mentions that Katt Williams apologized. He came up to her and said,
Listen, let me explain what's going on.
They began pressing her. Oh, really? What did he say? Kevin Hart interrupts it and said,
I want to step in because I'm going to let my sister keep it classy.
Yeah.
Somebody kicked my sister ball over the fence. I want it back. It doesn't matter what he said. It doesn't matter what the apology was.
So you didn't like the apology?
It's not about the apology.
But basically, we'll never know, because I don't know if Tiffany Haddish ever went and told this story, what Katt Williams said in his quote-unquote apology. What he explained was the reasoning, but apparently Tiffany Haddish knows, and maybe that's why she doesn't have any smoke for him. Because, again, it wasn't like he was just completely hating on her. He didn't say that she wasn't funny. He didn't say that, he just said that.
Understand, she passed 46 female black comedians that I know personally that I put on tour who have a hard time getting a chicken sandwich from Chick-fil-A after they headline 7 shows at a club for $2,500 a week. But well, knock it off. They like her because she want to sleep with a white man. That's why the only thing she said was, I want to give it to Brad Pitt. The only thing before that in the movie with me is I slept with this white man and I got a white baby. She had a white husband for the 14 years she been doing comedy, and then all of a sudden divorced him, then said he abused her, then wrote a book, then said he didn't.
It wasn't that he was hating on her comedy or any of those other things. Although it was clearly disparaging, I don't think it was hate-filled. He did say, I love her, and so on and so forth. But it is a mixed signal to say, I love you, but I'm going to explain all of the reason why your talent isn't deserved, and why your success isn't deserved, and why you're being why the gates are being opened for you by a person who's undeserving of who's a Hollywood plant, and all of these things. It's hard for me to really see the love, to be 100% fair. So at this point, Kevin starts getting into his own numbers.
Right now, all this stuff is Googleable. Is Google. You can Google it. It's all fucking researchable information. I am sitting on 1.3 million tickets sold. Shouts out to all the comedians that have given me the opportunity to get here, because I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing without them and their hard work. There is nobody close to me in ticket sales and comedy.
And you on a worldwide tour.
I am worldwide. I am on par with the likes of your Bruno Mars, your Jay-Z, and Beyonce.
And I looked it up. And yes, indeed, Kevin Hart is the first comedian to sell 1 million tickets in less than 6 months. Then he addresses the 15 consecutive 100 city tours.
Also, to say 15 consecutive 100 city tours is false. What are you doing? So where did you do the new stuff? When did you ever work on something? Consecutive means in a row. Where?
The thing is, Katt Williams is always touring. Now, they're not always headline tours because he's not part of the Hollywood machine. It's somewhat similar to like someone like Angelina Jolie, where Angelina Jolie doesn't have a publicist. Because she doesn't have a publicist, she does a lot of things, and then most of those things don't catch highlights. Now, when she adopts foreign kids, that's going to get highlights. But a lot of the stuff that she was doing was never like it wasn't where every little step she was making was being scrutinized to the same degree because she didn't have a publicist. A lot of times Hollywood needs a publicist in order to make those things pop the way that they do. A perfect example of this is when Raven Simone was on the Wendy Williams show, and she mentioned, they were like, hey, you don't always have all this buzz. You don't always have the paparazzi stuff. And she said, well, yeah, you can do things to attract that. I just drive like a regular car and show up to places that I want to go and do the things that I want to do. But if I want to show up in a limousine with a little bit of a motorcade and all of those things, then yeah, the paparazzi are going to be there because as soon as they see this and I'm in Hollywood, then that's what they're looking for. You choose to attract that type of attention. If you choose not to, you can still do the successful things without getting all of that attention. There is a method to all of that. So if I'm doing things myself and independently producing it, then I'm probably not going to have the same fanfare. I'm not going to be on the Forbes list, but I'm getting ahead of myself. So then at this point, he says, so when Katt Williams is doing all of these shows and things like that, these numbers aren't going to be the same in place. And so then that's when Kevin Hart says,
Katt Williams did not own all the specials. He trashes the white man. The white man owns your content. You don't own it.
Now, I tried doing my best to research this to find out who owns these specials, and you don't know because those kind of details aren't given. What we do know is that Kevin Hart then makes a statement that he owns his own specials. And the only thing that his specials have in common, or his specials like the Pimp Chronicles, are also sold on HBO. I mean, his specials were on HBO, and he claims he owns those specials, just like the Pimp Chronicles is on HBO, and Katt Williams claims he owns that special. Katt Williams claims to have produced all of his specials. Now, if this isn't true, I would expect someone to come forward and say otherwise. So far, no one has done so. At this point, Charlamagne asks him,
So Katt Williams don't own none of his specials?
False.
Now, this is just absolutely not true. We know that Katt Williams has produced some of his own specials that he has owned. There's no doubt about that. I don't know which specific ones, but yeah, all of his specials aren't like done through the same exact machines and same channels. He does own some of his specials without a doubt. I don't know how you can make the statement he doesn't own any of his specials, but I think maybe he was in his feelings. Maybe he was cutting it up. Like maybe he expected Charlamagne to say he didn't own all of his specials, and so he was saying no to that. But what Charlamagne asked was, does he own any of his specials? To which Kevin Hart said, no, false. Then he mentions that
because she ain't done a tour yet. She ain't done a special. She has not proven the ability to tell jokes.
To which Kevin Hart says,
she's got two. She's got two.
The two at the time were one of them From the Hood to Hollywood, She Ready. Then the second one was Black Mitzvah. Now, From the Hood to Hollywood, that existed before this interview. The Black Mitzvah wasn't released until later, like slightly later after this, but it was shot already to my knowledge. Now, Kevin Hart says,
another fact.
So it's not about tickets?
No.
What's that about?
It's not about tickets. It's about your brand. It's about your return. If I'm a business and I want to invest a high amount of money in you, how am I getting my money back?
And he says that he made $40 million. Now to this, there's a little bit of backstory with the whole Monique situation, because when Monique was trying to get paid and she was trying to get her offer, Katt Williams said that.
So Monique's last tour had 316,000 tickets. Therefore, that's what she got offered.
Monique went on to say that Robbie Prohl told her husband and their attorney during negotiations that they base it off of your draw. There's that draw word again. And so Monique was like, well, is it based on the resume? And he said, no, it's not based on the resume. And so then they mentioned with Amy Schumer that she had sold out Madison Square Garden twice and she had a hit movie in 2017. So then Monique is like, okay, then with all due respect, isn't that a resume? That's what her husband says. Isn't that her resume? He gets quiet. Then he says, we understand the point you're making. We'll work on it and we'll come back to you. Because if it is based on ticket sales, aka the Madison Square Garden, then that would be one thing. If it's not ticket sales, but it's a combination of ticket sales and the other things that you're doing, such as your draw, like the movies you're doing, that would be resume. To which Monique would be able to say, I have a pretty extensive resume. I can be a good draw as well. So now we know that Tiffany did have 2 specials at the time that they made this statement, only one of which had already been released when Katt Williams said what he had to say. And so now when Kevin Hart is saying that they don't base it off of ticket sales, I don't understand what else they would base it off of. But I don't know that they base it purely off of ticket sales, because clearly there would be other things. There would be draw and return. There are going to be bonuses just based off of, one, your negotiating power and whether or not they think that you have something to bring to them. In Dave Chappelle's case, obviously Dave Chappelle is one of the most successful and prolific and sought after comedians in the world, despite his attempted cancellation. If you remember, all of the special deals back then were talked about as HBO specials. The person who brought comedy to Netflix in such a profound way was Dave Chappelle. From that point, HBO specials were no longer the important deal. It was about Netflix specials. And pretty much every other comedian followed suit, which is why they were willing to offer Dave Chappelle so much, especially considering he's one of, again, the most prolific and sought after comedians in the world. Now, Kevin Hart might be one of the biggest box office draws because they have 2 totally different styles. Kevin Hart is doing movies. He just appeals to a totally different audience. Dave Chappelle is appealing to strictly stand-up, whereas Kevin Hart is just more so, I would say, appealing to box office as opposed to stand-up. Anyway, with all that being said, there is that. So now they are contradicting each one another. Then Kevin Hart goes into the story talking about Tiffany Haddish was homeless.
I'm talking about a real grind.
Right.
Homeless, no bed, back seat, washing your ass in bathroom sinks.
Now, this is another important detail because Katt Williams talked about how he was homeless. Steve Harvey mentioned how he was homeless. And so many more comedians keep mentioning the story about being homeless and just like struggling, right? All that to say, from Kevin Hart's interview with Breakfast Club, he sums up his main point, which is this: we complain we don't have.
Then we get, and now we tear down those that are getting what we said we don't have. Make a decision. I'm going to ride with whatever decision we make. Y'all on the platform. Help me figure out so I know what we're sticking to. Maybe I'm wrong.
And I get it. He basically feels like there were all of these conversations. There was a boycott in 2009-ish, I want to say, around Hollywood. And there was a boycott around the Oscars saying that black people weren't getting shots and things like that. And so then at that point, now things were changing and people were getting better opportunities and they were seeing box office success. Some of Kevin Hart's movies, and he had said, he was told directly to his face.
I was a person that was told movies can't translate overseas with black leads in comedy. I was told that to my face. I begged for those opportunities. I pushed for them. I got them. And now you see more movies with people of color in the lead position getting those opportunities.
And Tiffany Haddish is another person that he was helping, which is also a lot sounds like gatekeeping, to be 100% real. If I'm the person at the door that they now recognize as a reputable source who can tell you who the it guy is, and I'm saying, hey, this is a good person and I want her up there and I'm using my platform for that, that sounds like gatekeeping. All throughout the Breakfast Club interview, Kevin Hart is describing gatekeeping 101. I have my platform and I'm using it for people underneath me and underneath my umbrella to lift them up into some of these successful circles so that they can do these things as well.
Me, Kevin Hart, the guy that sits on top right now, have taken advantage of all the money that I have. I've shot over 56 specials for the up-and-coming generation of comedy. Why? Because I'm trying to create opportunities for others. Rather than complaining about it, I'm fixing it. I'm putting my money where my mouth is.
That's gatekeeping 101. During this interview, Charlamagne tries to downplay the race issue like, it's whatever. And then Kevin Hart quickly fixes the narrative and says, wait.
I can say that there has been a heavy separation within races and opportunity in the entertainment business. I can say all the complaints that have been given over the past are not only correct, but worthy of the attention that they got. Okay? Within all the movements, within all the conversation, within we need more. You goddamn right.
I feel like Charlamagne was trying to tear down the race argument, and Kevin Hart sets the record straight. Tiffany Haddish then goes on to say, anyone who has given me an opportunity has been black.
So to me, when they say, the white man, whatever, to me, I don't see it that way. I mean, it's been black or Hispanic, Middle Eastern, but mostly black people have helped me. And
then Kevin Hart goes on to say that he owns all of his specials except for the Netflix one.
You doing that with your stand-up, though? You
Yes,
own all
I
your
have.
stand-ups, right?
Yes, I own
Really?
all
For
of
real
them.
now, not just for radio?
This is not. Once again, this is all researchable information. Well, not the one that I just shot.
Okay.
That's Netflix.
And he keeps making his appeal that, hey, these are facts. We can fact check these things. Except I don't know where you go online to find out who actually owns a special. Unless you own it and you publicize that you own it, we won't know. Then he goes and he dresses like Lil Rel and says like, yeah, I helped Lil Rel with his special. I had the opportunity to. And he's very, very humble in his way of approaching it, which he has the ability to do so because he's so successful. If you have a level of success, you don't need to up yourself because one, the media is already doing it for you. The numbers already speak for themselves. You're already like kind of Hollywood's darling in this way. So then at this point, I can say whatever I want to. I can be as humble as I want to be because the numbers are already there. The success is already there. The opportunities are there in progress. More are on their way. I don't need to worry about upping myself. So then he's like, no, Lil Rel did it. And, he was just really gracious enough to help me. I was honored to be a part of it, just putting another comedian first. And I think it's a respectful thing to do, but it's not, I don't know how genuine it is because again, when you're that successful, you don't have to brag. You just don't have to. The numbers already speak for themselves. So now at this point, you get to put on your humility cloak. And that's what Kevin Hart does very, very well. I don't know that it's not real. I don't know this man. I don't know his character. But that's what he was doing as far as making sure that Lil Rel was getting his props. After all of those things, now you understand the backdrop of those things because these things were heavily publicized in the media. Katt Williams went on to do other interviews in like less reputable places and talk about Kevin Hart and called him being a plant and talked about him wearing dresses and all of those things.